Welcome back to another episode of Steaming Pile with Lauren and Tucker. I'm Lauren.
And I'm Tucker.
Tucker, let's talk impulse decisions.
Uh-oh.
Like strategically, at what point does a decision stop being an impulse? Like,
I guess if you've thought about it for any reasonable amount of time, maybe like, an hour, then it's not an impulse.
an hour.
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds like a reasonable amount of time, honestly. Because, like, one could argue I impulsively bought an electric guitar last summer. No, 2 summers ago. But it also sat in my shopping cart for, like, a week. I don't think that's an impulse decision anymore.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. Like, bleaching your hair. I see tons of videos about people bleaching their hair, and they treat it as an impulse decision. And you can tell which ones have, like, bothered to watch any videos of people doing it incorrectly versus which ones are making videos that become the videos of people doing it incorrectly.
Sure.
And so it's just fascinating to see, like, what makes an impulse decision an impulse decision.
Mm-hmm. That's a very interesting question. I think maybe if you were to have bought the electric guitar, as soon as you open the page, like Amazon has that cool one-click buy button, that's an impulse decision. If you leave it in your cart and, like, the back of your mind's always ruminating on, is this a good decision? Well, I mean, it's an electric guitar, of course it's a good decision. But, just in general, any reasonable amount of time. Again, I just pulled hour out of thin air. I don't know, but, like, I think if you give it, even if you don't give it any thought, if you give it time, if you let it breathe, then it's not an impulse decision, because in a way you are subconsciously thinking about it no matter what.
That is true. Yes.
And another thing, I guess a lot of the shopping trends that you see, they want you to make impulse decisions, but the thing you just brought up, bleaching your hair or dyeing your hair or shaving your head, that you just do on an impulse, I almost believe that is almost impossible to be an impulse, because that's always kind of an option that's available to you, right? Like,
yes,
like you don't know everything that's on Amazon. Maybe you weren't even thinking about getting an electric guitar, and you see an electric guitar, it's like, ooh, I want that, click, right? But you can shave your head whenever you want. It's not that hard, right? It's always something in the back of your mind, like, I could shave my head. I could you don't just wake up one day and be like, I'm just gonna, it's always something that's just like, it's always a possibility. It's not presented to you, but it's like intrinsic about you.
Yes. And I think impulse is different from, like, whims and larks, because, like, I think April of last year, I, on a whim, cut my bangs myself, because I was like, I wanted bangs. I'm not going out to salons. I'm going to do it myself. So I did. That was on a whim, though, because I watched other people do it to learn how not to do it.
Sure. And even then, right? Like, even still, you gave it that time, but it was consciously in the front of your head. I'm sure, like, if you go back and if you were able to, like, analyze your unconscious thoughts, you'd be like, bangs, something like that. I don't know. I'm not a brain guy, obviously.
Yeah. Well, and I think if you film it, that also eliminates an aspect of impulse, because to me, if you do it on impulse, you don't bother to let anyone take part in this experience. This is something that happens, like, just on impulse, reflex. If you film it for any form of public consumption, I think that indicates a level of, like, forethought, because you have to think about, like, there's so many steps before you get to the, like, this is the final point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I mean, but then do you believe the videos you see where people, are, cutting their bangs, shaving their head, doing whatever, and do you actually believe them when they say, LOLXD, I'm so random? That's not true impulse, is it? I don't think it is.
No, I think there's a point where my favorite moment is where they're, like, on the fence about it, and they make, like, the first cut, or, the first Yeah, the first cut. Like, yeah. And you can see in their face where it's like, oh, I have either thought this part of the way through or I have thought none of this through. And realizing that they have committed and they have to finish.
Yep. Yep. That's fun.
One I saw was borderline sabotage. I don't think the girl was being helped by friends because they bleached her head like 4 times in rapid succession. They were pulling clumps of her hair and not stopping. They were continuing to bleach. And I'm like, that is, yeah, it was a little sadistic because they kept making fun of her for the fact that they were ruining her hair and just being able to just pull out clumps of it. Like the whole back of her head was gone.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's horrifying.
Yeah. So if you bleach it, don't do it 4 times in quick succession.
No, I mean, bleach kills things. That's,
Yes.
That's what it does. That's why we have it. And, of course it's going to do that. That's malicious. That sounds very malicious.
Oh yeah, it was awful.
And even though, people say, oh, if you get a bad haircut or, oh, if your friends maliciously bleach your hair 4 times in rapid succession, it'll grow back. Don't worry about it. But there's still nothing quite, as benignly demoralizing as a bad haircut.
That's fair.
Yeah, of course it's going to go away. Of course you're going to, grow out of it and maybe get a better one next time. But it just, for the time, you see it, the sinking feeling when you look into the mirror and be like, oh God, oh, what did you do to my head, right? Like, that just kind of, it's not permanent, but it's just it just is very defeating.
Yeah. Yeah, I am more a fan of my hair feeling good. I don't care if it looks bad, but if it feels gross, I lose my mind. Like, it could be like the awful green color of blue washing out of bleached hair. It could be that mucky, like, gray purple color of poorly toned hair. It could be the brass orange of poorly bleached hair. But as long as it doesn't feel like it's been fried, I can live with that. I am vain enough that I don't ever want to shave my head, and so I'm always worried that means like someday I'm going to get like debilitating cancer that requires me to shave my head.
Gee. Well, I mean,
so yeah.
I wonder, and I've never really thought of this. I've never really put 2 and 2 together. Cancer patients often wear wigs. Would it make sense, or is it even possible, for you to make a wig out of your own hair and then wear that so it looks like nothing has changed? Do people do that? It sounds like something that people would do, and I'm just ignorant to the whole thing.
I don't know. The rules of wig making, I think, are really strict. Like, you have to have X number of inches of, like, virgin untreated hair.
So it'd be kind of like a very small amount of people who would even be qualified to do something like that.
Yeah, and the rules may have changed, and, like, synthetics may have gotten better. I imagine probably at least one person has done it.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure how wigs are made, to be perfectly honest. I have no idea. How do they do it?
I don't know how they thread it, because I get that it's like a lace cap that you have to like lay down, but I don't get how they get the hair fibers to like hold and not fall out.
Yeah, I don't know. And because it's like, literally the width of a human hair. That's hard to work with, and then you have so many of them. And then to keep it straight, like, I mean, brushes barely do the job while it's still on our heads. Imagine having to deal with that. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
I do know you can use fabric softener for wigs, like, especially if you want to, like, dye them for cosplay or something. It helps, like, detangle it, so it makes it easier to, like, work with. I know that much.
Can you do that? Can you put fabric? I guess you can put fabric softener in your head while it's still, in your hair while it's still in your head. No?
Ostensibly, yes. What is conditioner but hair softener?
I guess. How does fabric softener work? Oh my God.
I don't know. It's a thing that our generation doesn't use anymore, allegedly. It's killing the industry.
Oh, killing the fabric softener industry. Oh.
Oh no, it's
Oh.
like dryer sheets.
Oh. I was for a while thinking, oh, I should use dryer sheets. So I bought a box of dryer sheets. I don't use the dryer sheets.
No one does.
I like why?
We use the static to lower our energy costs.
There you go.
If we could just zap our light switches, we save 0.02 cents.
There you go. It's worth it. It's worth it. The what is the, I guess, anti-static. I'm and this just might be my dryer, but I don't get a lot of static out of my dryer, which is amazing. But also,
Yeah.
it also offers scent, right? Some,
Allegedly.
yeah. Well, I've never noticed a difference because B, I use that scent booster. I'm one of those people, and it boosts the scent to the point where it doesn't matter how many dryer sheets you put in, you're not going to smell it because it already smells good. So yeah, I don't know. But at the same time, isn't like, all the stuff that the new generation is killing, isn't that like in the pods? Those pods are
Yes.
more than just one thing.
Yeah, the pods do more. The like laundry detergent itself does more.
Mm-hmm.
And I think modern appliances kind of eradicated a lot of the problems that we would just buy new products for.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't remember the last time I bought clothes. Which wasn't the point you were making, I realize now.
Well, I mean, like, we all go to college, and once you go to college, like, that, you get enough t-shirts in college to last you for at least, like, 15 years.
Yeah. But, like, even like, the shirts I wear to work, and it's a software engineering job, so it's not super selective, but, like, when was the last time I bought a shirt? Like, I guess because I had to. I've never run out of shirts that I felt were, like, irredeemable in the eyes of the public. Like, yeah. I don't know. And pants, too. I need to buy new jeans. But, like, we're at the end of jean season. These have made it another year. They're fine, I guess. I don't know. This is one of those things where, I knew this was going to happen when I started living by myself. I'm just, it's like, it's almost complacency. That feels like the wrong word, but like, it's like, they're fine. My jeans are fine. Why would I? And also I wear 35-29s. Those aren't easy to find.
Oh yeah. 29 is, they're both odds.
Yeah.
I remember trying to find, I'll be both impressed and concerned if I remember these measurements. I think they were like 29 35s, like the inverse of yours, I think.
Wow.
25 34s.
Okay.
29 34s.
Yeah, that's
like, we thrifted them, so it was relatively easy. They didn't have to fit perfectly, but it was still like.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, yeah, that's I was in a store this weekend. What store was it? It wasn't American Eagle, although this was a problem with American Eagle as well. Sometimes I just go into stores. I don't know. And like all of them. Oh, it was that vaguely Japanese store, that vaguely Japanese brand. Uniqlo? Is that it? Sure. Let's just say that. All of I was looking and I saw the number 29 and I got really excited. And I saw that it was the first number. I was like, whoa.
Oh.
Whoa.
Yeah, no.
But that wasn't even where they started. And it's like, okay, this is not the store for, short stocky. So like it's and you can usually find sizes for, tall and skinny and tall and large. But short people. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, at least like men's pants come with like the actual physical measurements and you can use those, which is very nice. Why don't all brands use that? Like, I'd be fine even if women had to add like an additional measurement, you know, because hips and waist, they might not be the same width, but like, why are we guessing? Why has technology not progressed to the point where we don't have to do this weird like magic ritual to figure out if things fit?
True gender equality will come when women's pants have both accurate numeric measurements and larger pockets. Then
Yes.
we will be equal. Until then, sorry.
Yeah.
That's I've heard the pocket thing over and over again. Is that still a problem?
I mean, to some extent, yes, and to other extents, no. Like, I think women, like, front pockets, yes, those should be deeper. I 100% agree. Back pockets, I don't think it really works because for most women, that's not like a smooth surface to store things. Like, unless a guy's walking around with more cake than a bakery, like, that's essentially like a coat pocket, you know? It's a very convenient flat surface to store things. For women, it's like, it just doesn't work. It's the same problem with like button downs. Women have like there's only a very narrow range of women who can like comfortably wear button downs without, you know, not being professional.
Sure. That's yeah. Well, here's another question. Have you ever seen a use for the back pocket that so I can't I refuse to use my back pockets because I hate like sitting on things. Like people who can sit on their wallets, I don't understand. It's a why don't you want to sit on like flat? You have large front pockets ish, right? Just use those. And I imagine, you know, on the opposite side of the spectrum for women with, you know, absolutely no pockets whatsoever, it's even worse. But like why do you put things in your back pocket and then proceed to sit on them? Blows my mind. And things fall out of back pockets all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Because they get pushed out because you're sitting on them. I don't get it. I don't understand why you would ever use a back pocket for something that's important and not like a piece of paper.
Yeah. No, I mean, like before we like held our phones the whole time we used the bathroom, like that was the number one way for phones to fall out into toilets. But yeah, I don't know. Back pockets, I mean, I guess when wallets were thinner, it might have been better, but I think a lot of wallets now, I don't know. I think more guys end up using like the cargo type pockets that are like against the thigh instead and on the outside, where it's still within reach, but it's not going to interfere with like the rotation required for sitting.
Yeah, that's fair. I can see the argument for that. I don't know. Like in everyday existence, how much stuff you would have to carry in your pockets to warrant cargo pants, as like a common choice for legwear.
It's just convenience.
That is true. They are crazy convenient. When it's warmer out, I wear cargo shorts, and it's like sometimes you spill into the bottom pockets.
Yeah.
I feel that.
No, I mean, Adam Sandler has a song in his special 100% Fresh about like all of the things he has to remember. Because, you know, it starts out with just your phone, your wallet, and your keys. That's all you need. And then it keeps going from there. And so it's like, and I mean, like now we have masks, and then you got to bring like spare mask, and then you have like.
Yeah. Just keeps, you know, people made fun of cargo shorts, cargo pants not too long ago. It's the way of the future.
Yes. I mean, we did unironically bring the fanny pack back, so.
Was it unironic? Was it?
I think so. All of the, like, cool aesthetic people were doing it. And they've not necessarily begun wearing it as originally worn. It's more along, like, the fronts, or they've worn it as, like, over-the-shoulder bags. But...
maybe it was, you know, unironic because it just felt like the aesthetic was doing it ironically. The aesthetics that brought it back were doing it.
There was a weird like aesthetic window where all of it felt vaguely ironic.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe that's why it's like. But I mean, if it's part of an aesthetic, then it's very
Yeah.
purposeful.
Well, it was like when like dad shoes came back. I think Balenciaga did like dad shoes,
Mm-hmm.
and mom jeans. People are unironically wearing those again, and just everything that we thought was lame. We're like, no, we just for some reason chose to bully people just living their lives.
Yeah. 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 I don't know. Just wear the clothes that you like. Wear the clothes that
Exactly.
that make you feel comfortable and are I mean, okay, are reasonably appropriate. Like you can't wear that kind of stuff to, like, I don't know, a funeral. you can't wear a fanny pack to a funeral. I think maybe that's an unspoken rule, unless like what would you even be carrying in a fanny pack to a funeral?
Tissues, the program, the ashes from the previous funeral you went to.
Oh my God, it's perfect. The fanny pack of death.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
Yeah. In the future, all funeral homes will just be fanny packs with ashes in them.
Oh my God. Imagine that being your final resting place. A damn fanny pack. That's
convenient, portable. Not stylish at all. How is it different from a coffin, really?
That's true. That's true. That's true. Oh, most
I'll
urns
go to the great
are just...
Urban Outfitters in the sky.
Oh my God, Urban Outfitters. I don't know. I'm for the first time in what feels like months, because I don't really count the water tower as like a proper large mall. But I went to a mall a couple days ago. And it was really unpleasant because it was actually quite crowded. But just I don't know, just the stores and the lines for these stores. There were lines to get into just some stores that you would never expect to have lines in front of, right? Like the Apple store, for example, didn't have that much of a line. The Justice store had a massive line in front of it. Zara, which I guess you can justify Zara, had a massive line in front of it. There was one of them, I forget which store it was, but it was down the, like how malls are constructed. You have the main thoroughway, and it was like backed up down, like it was insane. And the social distancing made it worse. Yeah, it was incredible how many people were trying to get into these stores. And
that's really weird because I'd imagine a lot of like stores you can't try on anything.
Oh, none of them you can try on anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're like, yeah, you can't do it. I guess that's, I guess half the people there were probably taking advantage of the return policy because they tried it on at home. And we're like, it's not going to work. So they schlepped it back to the mall and stood in line for the return. So, I don't know. And this was a mall out in like, suburban Chicago. This wasn't like in Chicago. This was out in south of Schaumburg. So it's a large mall. I guess it has a lot of draw. I guess people will travel for a mall. And it's just weird seeing that mall so active. Because like the malls that I'm used to going to are, dying or dead.
Which is a shame because I love the concept of malls, like the Honey Creek Mall in Terre Haute. I loved that. We went there pretty much all growing up for me, and while I was still in school, that place was great. There's a mall in Kennesaw that I really like, and I enjoy the concept so much. I understand it's like, the last bastion of like consumerism, but there's just something fun about being able to walk through things. Most of the stores you want, or the stores you wouldn't necessarily go to, are there. And it's just fun. They got Cinnabons, they've got pretzel places. At the very least, is great.
Oh, I love the pretzel places. I'll tell you that the one of the anchor stores at this mall was a Sears, and that's where I entered and exited.
Oh.
It's kind of weird because it's very empty. Bookmark that, because that's not the worst store that I went to on Saturday. But Sears, it just felt cavernous. Like there was more, obviously, and you could tell that there used to be more. But it just felt so unsettling in a way.
Yeah, where there's like there are no shelves, no display mannequins. There's like a bin with like 5 athletic wear polo shirts that are like 4XL. There's a treadmill that's on sale now for like $50,
Mm-hmm.
down from like 275 because I can't get rid of it.
Yeah.
And then there's like a racquetball racket. And that's it.
Yeah. 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 The Sears was just like, and the thing was, like, it felt empty. There were a lot, like, I entered in the appliances section. And that, I mean, that in itself was just kind of weird because it felt more like a warehouse than a Sears. And then you get into like where the clothes are. And despite, like, I guess the perception that we have of Sears being, struggling, things weren't that cheap. It was kind of weird. And I don't quite understand why. And I guess I get that same vibe from Kmart's. I don't know if there are any Kmart's still around, but they died a slow death, and that was really, really unsettling to go in while they were dying. It was just like,
Yeah.
I've been transported back 10 years.
I found out that the David's Bridal, back where I went to college, closed. And I feel like that would be a trip to walk through. And just like, it's always like exciting because like they're practically giving stuff away. But it's also like there's a whole bunch of people who worked there and now they don't anymore. And there's a whole company, a whole industry that's lost out. And it may just be like that store and not like the whole franchise.
Mm-hmm.
But it does feel weird when companies that you thought were big deals start to go away. And that's where I get worried about like what takes their place.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's very, it's just very interesting how like you go into a store that is dying a slow death and you just kind of feel the, like, just the collective sadness, not necessarily of the people or the employees, just like the store itself. It's it's very hard to articulate. The emptiest, saddest store I went into on Saturday was a Fry's Electronics. Oh, take the sadness of a Radio Shack.
Oh no!
And scale it to larger than a Best Buy. And you've got Fry's Electronics,
no.
and it's worse.
Oh no!
It was so sad.
Like, it's like Radio Shack, and then you said it was worse. Like,
it's worse. No. It's sadder than Radio Shack. Just so you can tell that these stores used to be really, really popular, and they are just dying such a long, slow death. And it's not just the one here. There are several of them across the country that are all exhibiting, this kind of deterioration. And I don't know what happened. From what I can gather, they started having supply issues, and that's very evident. A lot of shelves are just empty. They're just empty. And the store is so cavernous and there's so few people there that like just everything just absorbs sound. And apart from the music, it's just silent. Like you go into like the computer software area, and just there's just these things that people would buy like in the like early 2010s, late 2000s, and just for PDF creation and things that like weren't built into the software we use commonplace today. You go into like the movie section. There was like a bunch of copies, Blu-ray copies of God's Not Dead 2. Why? Why? Why is that there? And just the plate, like you used to be able to build a computer there. Not so much anymore. They also have like hobbyist stuff. Those shelves basically completely empty. I don't know. It's just really sad. And I went to a Micro Center immediately after that, which was packed, crowded. And I was listening to a guy talk to a customer saying, yeah, what our GPU shelves look like, the entirety of Fry's looks like. I used to send people over there if we didn't have something, but now they just have nothing. And it's kind of sad, but just the inescapable melancholy of Fry's is just so strong throughout the entire store. And it's just hard to not think about for some reason.
Yeah. I'm curious why. Like, I wonder if it's just like all that stuff is sold online and for cheaper, and so people just do it that way, or like building computers, there are whole companies that do that now. So I don't know if it's part of that, or if it's just like, again, the dying out of physical businesses.
I suppose, but like, you see, I mean, Best Buy is still doing somewhat well. Micro Center was jam packed when I was there. There's some others whose names are escaping me at the moment, but like, they clearly there's a market for it. So what happened to Fry's? They couldn't keep stuff on the shelves. It was like, I mean, their model, I mean, it's pretty similar to Best Buy. I don't understand why it was just so tragic.
So did Fry's like sell already put together electronics and stuff too?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I was like, well, I mean, Best Buy sells like all the physical things that, like TVs, cameras, phones.
At one time.
Vacuum cleaners.
Yeah. Yeah. It's used to be all there. A lot of the those dedicated rooms for home theaters.
Yeah.
Though a couple of them were just straight up empty. Some of them were half empty, and like the speaker shelves were still there, and all like the plugs for the speakers, but like the speakers themselves were gone and like out of the wall. And it's like, what happened here? Did people buy the floor models? Or do you just not offer these anymore? And now there's just gaps because no one cares because it's Fry's? It's all, and it's like, it's just all kind of, again, dystopian isn't the right word. I don't even know what the right word is. But there's just like this, something very dissonant about it that just, it just makes you feel sad and nostalgic in like maybe the worst way possible.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's the kind of nostalgia of like things that didn't go right.
Mm-hmm.
And of like things lost. It's not necessarily like a nostalgia for things that were good. It's a nostalgia of just like it's more focused on the now because it's about how bad things are now versus like how good things were then.
Oh man, I can't even imagine how they've been suffering through all this. Fry's already on its last legs.
Oh yeah.
Allegedly they have, decent Christmas seasons. I can't imagine that happened this year.
Yeah.
And they're still standing. I don't know how long.
It's hard to say.
Yeah.
I'm curious what the like average rate of decline, like where they start actively losing money, and if you like hit a stopwatch, then what the average amount of time is to like chapter 11.
Yeah. I don't know, but I think that store would be very interesting to go to for one of those business closing events, like where they're selling off all their stock. That would be pretty interesting. I remember they do you remember, and I don't know like how national they were, but their name implies that they were national, Comp USA.
No, you didn't have one of those.
Okay. I think I was like 5 or 6 when they went out of business. They were very similar to Fry's. So I wonder what Fry's did differently to CompUSA and what Best Buy is doing differently from them now. It's an interesting business study that I'm sure many papers have been written about, but
probably. I mean, like the world of business and economics is ever growing and not, I don't think, consistent, or maybe it is just because people themselves aren't consistent. Because I got to thinking of like the skating rink and the bowling alley for my hometown and how those closed pretty much, I think, by the time I was 15 or 16. And so it's just like, why businesses decline?
Do you get that kind of like dissonant nostalgia when you go to like bowling alleys and like laser tag courses and things of that nature.
Bowling alleys always feel weird. It always feels like stepping into 1989 specifically.
Yeah.
Just with like the carpets and the lanes and like the food options and the shoes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I do really enjoy it. But yeah, it's always just like, this is time travel.
Yeah.
Like, I have never seen a modern bowling alley. Like, even when they do like the cool neon lights, it's like, this is very 2000s. That's as far as you're getting.
Yeah. No, and no one wants them to update either. You don't have to get with the times, because I mean, it's kind of a part of the reason why you go.
We like the clunky technology that takes like 10 minutes to type one person's name. That's part of the charm.
That's yeah. That's true. I don't know. I think, and there are a lot of, I guess, small, like, niche boutique bowling places that kind of are for like, you know, trendy parties, because there's like a full service bar and a kitchen, and it's also a bowling alley. And it's like, it's not the same. It doesn't feel like bowling. It feels like, I don't know, it just feels pretentious.
Yeah.
So
it's like, we're here for baseline acceptable pizza.
Yeah.
We're here for Pepsi products, not Coke products, because for
Damn
some
straight.
reason bowling alleys have Pepsi products.
Well, all with
We're
the
here
old
to pay
logo.
$7.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. In those weird, like, rippled plastic cups.
Yeah.
And we're here to pay $7.50 to bowl for an hour.
Yep. That's all we want.
Yeah.
I
We
want
the weird soreness where we're like, why is my arm sore? Oh yeah, because we bowled for an hour.
Mm-hmm. I want the distant sounds of a large arcade that nobody is in.
Yeah.
I want the, you know, you can tell someone sprayed cleaner in it, but it also still smells like foot bowling shoes.
Oh yeah.
Of course, that's it. The balls that definitely, there's no in between size that would be perfect for you. It's either too light or too small or too large and too heavy.
Yep. You either get 8 pounds or 16 pounds. You don't get 12.
Hell yeah. Bowling. And skating rinks are the same, just without large balls. It's just, but it's, you know, the question is, and you know, the ones that were out by you have closed. How long do they have?
I don't know. I think it depends on their demographic. Because I know that trying to make business on a demographic that doesn't have a lot of like expendable cash, it's not a good thing. There's a really good video by Scott Kramer, and he talks about like this teen party thing that they had out in North Dakota that was basically just a teen dance party, and the company folded because teenagers don't have a lot of money to build a whole business on.
Go figure.
Because it wasn't that it was like, you know, targeted at teens, but adults could use it too. It was like exclusively targeted at teens, and it's like, there's no money in that.
Yeah, no, there's no money in that at all. That's crazy. Yeah, if you want to make money from kids, you have to siphon the money from the adults. That's
yes.
There's no way around that. There's no way around that.
Well, it's like why young adult books do so well. It's like, yes, you have 14 and 15-year-olds reading it, but a large majority of your paying audience is 25-year-old white women. Yes.
And of course, you know, you gotta drum up an IP for, you know, future films.
Right. Yeah. You have to follow the same pattern as every other book. I picked up one today, and I was reading the synopsis, and there was nothing about it that grabbed me, and I just kept walking with the book. And I'm like, what am I doing? I don't care about this. This isn't even the first book of the series. I just reflexively got it. I put it back. I didn't pay for it, but I was like, I was prepared to walk out with this. just to read, just to turn pages, not even to enjoy the story,
Oh my
to
God.
engage with the world building, just because I knew there was going to be a brunette girl who was kind of special and a brunette guy who was kind of serious, and they were going to like have tension. There was going to be vague magic. It was going to be set in a vaguely European country, and I nearly fell for it again. I'm reading one right now, and I like the parts of the book that I care about are not about like the main character, even though it's okay, but it's very like Slavic, which is a little bit different. It's not like the kind of English vague European that a lot of them normally are. So it's very like Nordic, very metal, and I'm into it. But if you asked me to tell you what happens, I'd have to think about it.
Yeah. No, that's I mean, again, there's just a massive market for that. And I wonder, you see all of these advances in generative artificial intelligence. Do you think, even with current technology, not even in the distant future, I'm talking like by the end of the year, we'll see generative AI models just churning these books out. Just there's so much data to train on. And it'll just start churning out series after series that are decently written, not great books, but gets the job done.
It'll break even.
Well, I mean,
especially if you don't have an author to pay anymore.
Exactly. No time
for young adult fantasy.
Yeah.
I can absolutely see that, because young adult fantasy, despite being a genre that I do typically enjoy, is one of the most generic, uninspired genres ever.
Yeah.
It makes, like, I can imagine being like a marketing agent in that genre. It's super easy, and if you have to take care of like the back cover copy with the synopsis, it's so easy.
Yeah,
because it's all like, here's country, here's conflict, meet girl, meet boy, they have to solve the problem, but they might fall in love while they do it.
What?
Turn these pages, find out. And it's like, we already know. We already know. And it's always like the guy is like spooky and scary and brooding and maybe evil, but it's like, but why do I want to hold his hand, though? It's like, because you're alone out in the middle of the woods and you're confusing your fear for sexual attraction.
That's a good message. Yeah. That's a frighteningly accurate depiction of. But what other stories are you going to tell as a young adult author?
I mean, the modern day set stuff is getting a little more creative, because they tend to focus on perspectives that haven't really been seen a whole lot. They're like branching out from like the white, frail, not like other girls type archetype that dominated it for a long time. We're starting to get like different protagonists, which is cool. I just don't like the modern genre all that much. I tend to avoid it when I can.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I do think we're reaching like a critical saturation point that's really interesting in some respects, just to see like what actually breaks through. And I think what we're gonna experience is things being deliberately bad.
Oh, yeah.
Because like the After series, I don't know if you've heard of it at all.
No.
But it originally started out as Harry Styles fan fiction, which spiraled out of control into a full series on its own. And it's absolutely garbage. But people buy it because it's garbage and because that generates content of its own. And so are we going to get things that are deliberately bad? It's why I'm very curious what The Kissing Booth 3 is going to be like on Netflix, because by the sequel, they almost seemed self-aware of how bad the movies were. And if they were deliberately pushing it into cringy territory.
What is The Kissing Booth?
Also based on a Wattpad story.
course it is.
Yeah, no. And so I think what we may end up seeing is things that are deliberately cringy.
Oh,
Because
for sure, yeah.
8 clicks are more profitable than like genuinely good things. Because for things to be genuinely good, it has to be like stratospherically good. And if it's just like okay, it's not worth mentioning unless it breaks even.
Yeah.
But if it's really bad, that generates an audience of its own.
But what's really interesting is the line of demarcation between so bad it's good and so bad it's bad.
Oh yeah.
Right? Like and that's I've been thinking about it a lot, and I don't know what the difference is. I have no idea.
For me, at least, the difference comes down to, do I enjoy watching it, and can I laugh at it? Not necessarily with it, but at it. Because I was watching a video review for this Paris Hilton film called The Hottie and the Naughty, and that's a film that is so bad it's bad, because nothing about it is even remotely funny, despite the fact it's trying to be a comedy.
Okay. But how is that different from, say, the ways in which The Room is bad? Because at that point, it wasn't self-aware. Just like...
It wasn't.
Yeah.
But there were things to laugh at because the execution was poor. I think another distinction that matters is a measure of that earnestness where they're really trying. And I think, not to bring up Cats again.
Oh my God.
But I think Cats, for me at least, is starting to like edge its way into the so bad it's good because they were also desperately trying. And there has to be something to laugh at, and that may be cruel, but I do think part of what makes it, because like for example, the film Horns, for me, that was just bad. It wasn't so bad it was good because it was such an unpleasant experience.
Right.
And I think for a film to be so bad it's good, there has to still be a good experience. It's, did I waste my time versus I have to show this to my friends so they can suffer too.
Okay. That's... Oh, well, okay. I guess, and obviously there will be counterexamples on either side, but I think that's a good general rule of thumb to follow. If they, like, if they tried and you can laugh at it. And I guess if there's a critical mass of people who feel the same way.
Yes, that does matter too.
Yeah. Because I feel like something doesn't achieve it's so bad it's good status until a lot of people agree that that's true.
Yes, because otherwise that's just a cult classic.
Yes.
Which is
and I guess another level of so bad it's good kind of ranking.
And I think for those, they don't necessarily have to be funny. I think that's where cult classics fit in, is it doesn't necessarily have to make you laugh.
Yes. That is true. Yeah. I don't know. I'm just trying to think of like, what is a movie that tried hard, put in a lot of effort, it's so bad, but it's still bad? Cuties.
Ooh.
They tried to make a statement.
Oh yes.
And I mean, they tried hard, but they had talented people working on that film. The film, from a technical perspective, is not a piece of garbage, but the execution and everything else kind of prevents it from being so bad it's good, because A, just forget all the kid stuff, it's cringe, and B, it's like no one can get behind this the way you filmed it.
Oh yeah.
It's so you cannot even hope for. Obviously, they weren't even hoping the it's so bad it's blank, right? They weren't even hoping for that. They genuinely thought that they were doing important work here.
Oh,
but the but after that, after you kind of suck it up and you just be like, okay, fine, it's bad, but maybe it's so bad it's good. Maybe I Tommy Wiseau'd it. No, it's so bad it's it borders on illegal.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there aren't a lot of films you can say that about.
No, not many.
So
Yeah, I can't even think of that many films that were straight up illegal. Yeah, because I actually think the Joker movie almost falls into that category as well, just because they're taking themselves so seriously that I think if it had just a modicum of self awareness, it would have been a much better film than it was.
Yeah.
And like, it's a film I came around on. When I initially saw it, I didn't like it, but over time, I was like, no, that was cool. But it's another example where they really think they're saying something. It's like, I think if your message becomes a meme and your whole movie becomes a meme, you have to just roll with it. Now, what makes that movie fun is just how much acclaim it got the whole way.
Oh my
like, I was
God,
watching
yeah.
the Oscar nominations and just cackling at how many nominations it was getting
Yeah.
because so many people thought it didn't deserve it. And that to
Yeah.
me, that's beautiful. I love stuff like that.
I don't think it did deserve that many nominations. Like it was a good film. I liked it.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
think. I mean, it certainly wasn't high art. I think Joaquin Phoenix's performance was pretty good. I don't think it was best actor level.
No.
At all. I don't think it was best picture nominee worthy. But I mean, on the other hand, what was it running against? What were the others? Parasite,
This past year? Yeah.
Jojo Rabbit,
Mm-hmm.
Marriage Story, Ford
Yeah.
versus Ferrari. Those are the only
Yeah.
four that come to mind right now. But what other movies came out that year that ascended to that level? The Irishman.
The Irishman, Rocket Man.
Okay, was Rocket Man nominated? I don't think Rocket Man was nominated.
That was the thing is Bohemian Rhapsody got nominated for a bunch of stuff that it didn't deserve. And so the following year they were like, well, we did Bohemian Rhapsody already. We're not going to do this again. Even though I think on multiple counts Rocket Man's a better movie.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Do we trust the Academy? Just
We
in
do and we
general?
don't.
Okay.
Like any time they do something that we agree with, they're like, yes, the Academy is a valid institution that has valid opinions and contributes to the art scene. And anytime they do something we disagree with, we're like, the Academy's an outdated industry anyway. We don't need it really.
Yeah. I mean, and at the end of the day,
Because we're like,
yeah.
yeah, because it was like, Best Picture, Green Book. And we're like, that's stupid. Why do we still have the Academy? And then the following year is like Best Picture, Parasite. And we're like, yes, correct opinions. The Academy can stay.
Yeah. At the end of the day, the Academy doesn't really matter. Because what drives what movies are made and what drives how movies are made is how much money it makes. And the Academy it has an influence. If a movie wins, I assume more people are going to go watch it. Or if it's nominated even.
Yes.
But that's like once a year. If a movie's good, I feel like people are going to watch it. Also, if a movie's bad, people are going to watch it. The Producers was a nonfiction. Like, if you think of, like, Minions, something like that, or really anything Illumination has made, it's not high art. They're not even all that good. But they still, sell massive amounts of units.
Yes.
And they will continue to do so. And yet they will never win an Academy Award.
No. And I think I've heard that they have like mastered the art of how to make a movie as cheaply as possible.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And it maximizes returns. And that's all they need to do.
Yeah.
And I know Minions was the example you gave. I've seen like 75% of it. Wasn't as awful as I thought it was. I think of the Despicable Me movies, it's definitely better than the third one.
I can believe that.
As good as the sequel?
Whoa.
Like,
strong.
the sequel's okay. Like, there's some cool moments in it. The first one I still think is a genuinely good movie.
Yes.
Sequel is like, okay. Some cute things. I like that it's about blended families. That's always cool to see. Yeah, Minions wasn't awful.
Hmm.
Not like great. Like if the minions annoy you, it will not be a pleasant experience, but it wasn't awful.
Okay, yeah. The minions annoy me. I'm very biased against the minions. Those wacky Tic Tacs. I don't know. I'm not here for it. I'm not here for the minions.
Yeah, we always have to find like the gimmicky thing that we can make toys out of.
Exactly. But that's I just saw a movie. It really messed me up. Clemency. It's a 2019 film about the psychological toll being a prison warden takes because she has to oversee all these executions. And oh my god, it's brutal. Like it.
Oh yeah, I think I've heard of that film.
Yeah, like the first 10 minutes are probably some of the hardest cinema I've ever had to sit through, because the first 10 minutes it's a botched execution, and the acting is so good. It is so amazing that you just like you can't turn away, but like you're gripping your chair armrest and it's like, oh god. And just the mother's crying and the needle is sliding out and it's like, oh god, just stop. And the whole movie, it's the movie, it doesn't get easier. It's not as bad as the first 10 minutes, but it's still just emotionally brutal.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god, it is just a nightmare. It's a good movie. It's a really good movie.
Well, yeah. Any like good drama about the prison system is gonna be difficult to sit through, but like worth it in the end. Mm-hmm. 'Cause stuff like that always gets me. Just Mercy and Shawshank Redemption were the same way, where it's just so upsetting. Mm-hmm. And like the whole idea of capital punishment is really upsetting. And people are like, oh, but do you want like those terrible people just like living? And I'm like, I'm fine with some of them living if it means people who didn't do it don't get executed incorrectly or get executed for something they didn't do.
Yeah.
Or have to suffer. Like, I get it. There are terrible people who've done terrible things. I don't think it's justice to make them suffer also.
It's true. Yeah. Oh. Well, then you really won't like the movie then.
I don't know that I could sit through it.
Yeah.
Like, even just, like, those 10 minutes, like, I can feel it, like, here, and I can feel it down my spine of just, like, it's one of those things where I've never had tetanus, but there's, like, a symptom of tetanus towards the end of it where everything just, like, locks up. Mm-hmm. And I can feel that when I encounter stuff like that where I just, like, I can't.
Yeah.
Like, there are certain like scenes and things in film that like I can read about it and like see it and it just like in District 9 when his fingernails fall off. I can't. I hate it. No.
Hard pass.
Yeah. Or the end of Horns, that was awful. Could not sit through it. Nearly turned that off. Or like I wasn't even watching Final Destination. I was watching other people watch Final Destination, and the way that film sets up the things, it just like there was a scene where someone was just getting a haircut and the chair like on the swivel thing just like shunks down some, and I'm like, no, I will not have someone getting impaled. No.
Yeah, those Final Destination movies, they're it's not about the destination, it's about the journey.
They do kind of epitomize that, don't they?
Oh yeah. Oh man, I don't know, but yeah, movies like that, I think they're really good. I mean, movies that make you feel anything really, but just make you, even if they're just deeply uncomfortable, they're pretty good. They're pretty good.
Oh yeah.
Not in the same uncomfortable way that Cuties makes you feel,
No.
Just by existing. That's a different kind of
Yeah.
uncomfortable. This is like a
Yeah.
unsettling uncomfortable. That's a disgust uncomfortable. Just like, oh,
Yes.
why? But
Yes.
this one's like
It's
why?
Yeah. No, the like visceral discomfort. I was watching, I think, a discussion of the film Seven, because that's a film that I like tiptoe around it because I don't think I could actually bring myself to sit through it. So I'll just like peek over the fence to see what other people are like discussing about the movie to get scenes in isolation.
Sure.
And just those individual like deaths are all just, oh, make me so uncomfortable. Which is they're supposed to.
Yeah.
But it's just like every single one of them is like, that's awful.
Yeah. And it's just movies like that. They're difficult, but they're worth it. In some weird way, they're worth it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Have you seen, completely changing gears, From Dusk Till Dawn?
That's that is that the Robert Rodriguez vampire movie?
It is the Robert Rodriguez
I haven't.
vampire movie.
I've seen a couple of scenes from it, but I haven't seen the whole thing.
So unfortunately, you will not have the pleasure of going into it completely blind, like I had the pleasure of going into it. I didn't know where it was headed, but it certainly wasn't headed there. It was, it's a shame it's a vampire movie, because if you don't know it's a vampire movie, it's not for the first half. It's just oh man, and the fact that Quentin Tarantino wrote it just makes it better.
Oh yeah.
And the fact that he's in it, and the fact that his foot fetish is openly on display. Hey, Tarantino, you do you, bud.
I've never understood.
I don't get the foot fetish either, but I'm not knocking it. Yeah, you can be in the feet. It's pretty benign.
Yeah. Of the things you could be into, that's pretty benign.
I mean, you could be into literally anything.
Yes.
Feet. That's a safe one, I'd say. It's interesting, like, why, but like, all right, you can do the feet.
It's like it's at least a physical appendage.
Yeah.
On a person that you don't have to like do anything to. You don't have to distort it.
Yeah.
You don't have to do weird things to it.
It's true. It's true. Yeah. And I'm just flashing in front of my face the another movie with a foot fetish, The 20th Century. That film is exceptionally weird in that
also sounds familiar.
it's about Canada. That's really all I can like render as a description. It's about Canada, kind of.
Sure.
And it looks like it was shot in like the 50s or the 60s, but it wasn't. It's like a 2019 film. And
oh, yeah.
And like it's good, but it's like just the stylizing of everything. It really made it feel like the Forbidden Zone, but different in a way. I don't know. It's just the whole thing. But there's a foot fetish in that, and that's what reminded me of it. Anyway.
Just as a sidebar, I was going to search for the 20th century and neglected to include the 0. So I typed 2th, and the first result was the 2th amendment.
The Tooth Amendment.
I don't want to believe that, like, the demographic, I should hope the demographic for that is not the same people wielding them, but my goodness, it was just too funny.
Please tell me the website doesn't end in .gov.
Oh, no, it was just like
good.
a search topic.
Oh, it was suggested.
It was the autofill.
Oh. Well, while you look for
Thankfully,
the 20th
all the
century.
things that come up are like government sites.
Oh, good. I was worried that we would have to deal with that if that had to be added to the pile. But while you look up the 20th century, I'll read the ad spot.
Oh, yes.
So you can get acquainted with the movie. Or don't, actually. Maybe just watch it. Go into that one blind as well. Just Canada. It's just Canada. Don't worry about it. Yeah. So anyway, this episode of Steaming Pile is brought to you by Samsung. No, not the mega conglomerate that makes TVs, fridges, and phones. Rather, the art house documentary Samsung, detailing the little-known and short-lived career of amateur singer Sam Michaels. Starting from humble beginnings, as a failed American Idol contestant that didn't even make the cut to be in the audition phase of the TV show, Sam decided to go the XXXTentacion route and upload his work to SoundCloud, where he amassed a small yet loyal following. Unfortunately, in late 2019, Sam also went the route of XXXTentacion and was brutally murdered at a strip club in Buffalo, New York. Nobody knows why he was at the strip club, though, given that the content of his songs were primarily Bible-based and publicly denounced such behavior as sin. Samsung dives deep into one of the most low-profile murders of the 21st century. Why was Sam there? Why was he murdered? And why was all of his music taken down shortly thereafter? Samsung answers these questions and more as it takes you on a 7-hour, 38-minute journey through the life and legacy, as small as it may be, of Sam Michaels. In theaters now, but it's probably not worth the risk. Even without a pandemic, it's probably not worth the risk.
I genuinely would watch that. I was like, wait, why was he murdered? Why was he at the strip club? I have to know.
Was he framed? Well,
was it like a Tupac and Biggie situation?
What would Sam Michaels... Who would his rivals have been? Nobody knew about him.
XXXTentacion.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
I mean, if Sam
Polar
Michaels
opposites.
is coming in and stealing... Yeah, if he's like trying to steal his bag.
We got to watch the movie and find out now. We got to see the movie. 7 hours and 38 minutes. That's like...
I know, that's...
Santa Tagio's length. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's
very generous of them.
Yeah. That's I don't think they had a lot of money to sponsor, so they picked us.
They're doing what they can, knowing that this is not going to be seen until like 3 weeks later. So they're like, oh, we got time. We don't have to declare Chapter 11 yet.
That's right. And it'll stay in theaters because nothing's going to come along to kick it out.
Exactly.
There you go.
Who would have thought at the top and bottom of the pile would be bankruptcy? But I do think we've sifted through everything.
That's true. I think we've done it.
Yeah.
Another job well done.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm always fascinated by where it goes and what we find.
It's true.
Yeah. This has been another episode of Steaming Pile with Lauren and Tucker. I've been Lauren.
And I've been Tucker.
We will see you next time.